Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Historical Humans podcast. My name's Justin Woods, and I'm joined today by my fellow co-hosts, Colum Coleman and Aaron Gilpin. And on our 24th episode of Season 2, we have quite the interesting topic, one that spans hundreds and hundreds of years, and is in an area that we don't talk about that frequently.
Yep. Yes, indeed it is. And before we get into it, though, I'd like to take a moment just to pause here and say welcome, everyone, and congratulations for making it this far. If you've been watching us since the beginning, this is our 50th podcast episode of all time.
Ooh.
So that's big 5-0 for us there.
Secret milestone. I like it.
Yeah.
And we also just dropped our 2,000 subscriber milestone over on our YouTube channel. So if you don't follow us on the YouTube channel, be sure to go over there and check it out. Aaron and I competed for a grand prize.
Oh, we're not spoiling it.
Yeah, no, we are not. We are moving on. But yes, anyway, for our wonderful 50th episode special here today, we bring you what is known as Choson Korea. It is the last and longest lived imperial dynasty in Korean history.
The last?
Wow.
It is, yeah, this is the last dynasty of Korea. They reigned from 1392 up until 1910.
What happened in 1910?
Don't ask. Do not ask.
There
Imperial
was a
Japan.
certain, what would they call it? Pan-Asian Co-Prosperity Spear, I believe, happened.
That's also the start of the Sino-Japanese War, which is still ongoing to this day.
What?
Yeah, the Sino-Japanese War never ended.
There have been no peace treaties. Japan is terrible at signing peace treaties.
Plus, there's
They just cease fire.
But there's a land dispute over the Kuril Islands. So.
Oh, I knew about that one.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, but this this 518 year reign sets the Choson dynasty at about the 24th longest continuously reigning dynasty in human history.
Wow.
24.
Yep. We say about because a number of the other dynasties that are ahead of them on this list have mythical founders who cannot necessarily be proven to be actually a part of the dynasty that they are claimed to be a part of. The cultural tradition versus like the archaeology and the history. There's just not enough to verify.
Oh, okay. I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Which brings us to our
I
second
wonder what
fact.
the longest one is.
Yeah, because remember when I said that this was the longest lived imperial dynasty in Korean history? Well, technically, they're only the second.
Alrighty, and we are back. Thankfully, due to my hotel Wi-Fi, I was briefly incapacitated. So hopefully this is a smooth transition back into it, and we can just jump right back in.
Yes, work travel, so much fun. Who didn't really have to travel for work? The Choson dynasty, because they lasted so long.
They worked from home. They were the pioneers of it.
Oh, man. What I wouldn't give. Actually, no. Please don't let me. Actually, well.
It's a mixed bag. It's
Well,
good
mixed
and
bag.
bad.
Well, Aaron contemplates his future or possibly the past. The Choson dynasty being the 24th longest continuously reigning dynasty in human history. They are one of the they're one of the few that can be like fully verified up to that length with both archaeology and cultural tradition.
I
like
think
history, archaeology, and culture all like verify each other very well with that.
Yeah, that's something that is a caveat that we tend to have to add because a lot of times rulers and leadership like to mythicize their origins or like to blend the origins with mythology, form of divine ruling. And this is a way of like just being like, no, this is legit. It's historically validated.
Yeah,
you didn't descend from the gods, even though you claim to be.
Yeah, or even just an original ruler will claim divine descendants and push their things back, or even just time destroys a lot of things, and everyone remembers the name of the first guy, but not who he belonged to. There's a lot of different reasons this
I don't know.
happened.
The guy from one of our videos before was the first. The first
Yeah.
crowned. What was it? Stephen
Yeah,
the
yes,
first crowned?
yes, yes. Stephen first crowned. Yeah, yeah. He
Oh,
made
right.
very clear where he came from.
Yes.
Uh, anyway, get ourselves on track here. Uh, earlier I said that this was the longest imperial dynasty in Korean history. That's not true. They're technically the second longest because of the semi-mythical origins of the Go Joseon dynasty, which lasted 2,225 years, with its mythical founding in the year 2333 BCE, and the next clear dynastic change that we have occurring in 108 BCE.
I
Wow.
would have, I would have hated to be the guy who ended up being the last ruler for that dynasty, because that means like somewhere along the line, you were like
You
you
fucked up
kind of screwed.
real
Yeah,
bad.
you screwed it up, man. Like how did like it's
Although,
been going on for over 2,000 years. And,
to
like,
be
you
fair,
guys-
Rome was a good example of not every ruler proved to be an effective one, and I'm sure it's another case of there were weak rulers along the line that chipped away at their power, chipped away at their authenticity, maybe even caused civil unrest.
oh, without a doubt. I mean, I think we could make a whole video about just that dynasty.
We're in the eastern part of Asia here. We're dealing with like China, Korea, Japan. Powerful ministers is a major problem for most governing bodies in this region for a large portion of history. The ministers will tend to attempt to usurp the role of the emperor, especially if the emperor is not particularly powerful or mature.
Of
Oh
course they
yeah,
do. Of
reminds me of
course
the
they do.
eunuch. Reminds me
Yeah.
of the fact that there were the eunuchs in one of the Chinese dynasties ended up like trying to started a rebellion. Like
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's Chinese history in a nutshell. There's a powerful emperor, the ministers take over, and then most people start rebelling. New powerful emperor comes in, repeat the cycle. But we're
Circle
not
the
here to
way
talk
of the
about
world.
Chinese history.
so you're telling me ministers are the enemy of like bureaucracy.
Oh, you would be surprised. Is the bureaucratic systems that get employed under Choson Korea, under a lot of Chinese dynasties, etc. They are very top heavy.
I mean, they had to do something right. They admit if the Choson dynasty lasted so long.
Yeah.
500 years. That's pretty good.
No, that
pretty
is good by any means.
Yeah, it is very good. And the key factor here is the efficiency of governance versus the number of people you have involved in government.
Shit, I think that still beats any of the British monarchs.
Yeah, without a
Basically
doubt.
they start just making more and more jobs for people as part of the government, and just slowly the ship starts taking on water from too much weight.
So middle management's the downfall.
We've got the
bureaucracy.
deputy
Middle-
minister of finance. We got the deputy of the regional manager.
The assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah. Basically it's everyone is getting their brother a job as a used car salesman, except everyone is it from a household of 20.
Oh, beautiful nepotism sinking the ship. We love
And
it.
it just starts dying. But there are a couple other names for the Choson dynasty here. Would someone else like to read them for me? Just because we're getting into Asian names, and I will butcher those worse than most European ones.
Aaron, you're the resident weeb. Go for it.
I'm not a fucking weeb. And this is Korea.
Ooh, fight! That's
Yeah, that's a fight.
that is actually a good comeback, especially since Japan will be our villains for this episode.
When aren't they the villain? I mean, what?
When you're talking about history from Japan's perspective, then suddenly they're not the bad guys anymore.
Let's
Hans,
see.
are we the bodies?
Okay, so Chosen. Okay, so there's the Joseon dynasty and then the Yi dynasty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. They have. I have a very hard time dealing with the letter J in anything other than American English.
Wait, is the J supposed to be pronounced like a ch in
I
Korean?
have no clue.
Cha.
I literally cannot translate this. I have like 1 year of Japanese, and that is it for Asian languages.
Oh, No, it is. It is in fact pronounced like a J, and like
Oh,
In Korean and English, they both sound like J. So it's Chosen.
yes, finally, phonetic spelling.
Well, I mean, their alphabet is a phonetic one, right?
I would hope so. Then again, English uses it not at all like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I'm used to the
they used.
languages that just pick like four sounds and then the rest is just implied.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, and anyone can correct me in the comments,
Please do.
uh, they used to use Chinese script, but then I believe in the 1500s or later, after contact with Europeans, someone helped develop a script, and it was kind of like it was based off a phonetic script. So it's actually easier to read Korean as an English speaker because the way the letters are sped up are like set up. So you could recognize the symbols, but understanding it, like listening and speaking it, makes it that it's still like difficult for anyone learning the language.
Yeah.
So
So we do have so yeah, the Koreans get their own alphabet in 1443, and they opened themselves up to the sort of Western powers and foreign powers starting in 1876.
okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on, but
Wow.
yeah. And so the reason why they have this one dynasty has three names isn't actually because they ruled for so long. It has nothing to do with it just taking so long and it being like a Roman dynasty where just as the surname of the person shifts through various,
Oh no.
uh, daughters, becoming, Julian to Julio Claudian. What it actually is
Regional
they chose
dialect.
no, they chose all three names more or less at the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, because Yi refers to the name of the ruling family. That's the actual like surname of the person who established this dynasty. Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Choson and Joseon refer to the dynasty's preferred name for their kingdom. They are a reference to the state of Korea. Like
Hmm.
Oh,
it like they didn't call themselves Korea. They called themselves Choson. I am the Choson emperor.
I
oh,
am the
okay.
chosen emperor.
Yeah,
So,
and
so
and
use the family name and Chosun. Do they still do they like to this day? Do they still say like Chosun? Like, is that
uh,
like a? I feel like that would still be a thing, honestly.
yeah,
Probably to some degree.
I honestly don't know. A fun fact with this: when the Korean Peninsula gets split into North and South, uh, the North Koreans keep the Choson Dynasty color scheme, while the South Koreans keep the Choson Dynasty patterns for their flags.
Huh.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they
Yeah.
really did split it in half.
I feel like if I had a chance, I would definitely visit Korea. If, personally, I would like to
It's
see Busan.
yeah. Is that just because of Last Train to Busan?
No,
Zombie horror.
I had friends who went to Korea and they said they really enjoyed visiting Busan. Anyway,
Fun, yeah. Uh, yeah, and Choson and Joseon are a reference to the previous Korean state of Go-Joseon, that previous mythical dynasty. They're basically saying, like basically we're saying, there's the Go-Joseon, and then there is the Joseon. There is, there's the greater Koreans, and then there is the Koreans.
Oh, and fun
Like,
fact,
legitimacy.
North Korea still refers to itself as Joseon, and South Korea refers to itself as Hanguk.
Hanguk?
Hanguk.
Okay.
Oh,
Hanguk. Yeah.
yeah. Ooh, we're learning words.
Yes, we are learning on the fly here, folks. This is why we are doing Far East topics, because we know nothing.
Yeah,
I,
because we know nothing, and I refuse to take any linguistic approach prior to summoning these up. We will fly by the seat of
Hey,
our
the
pants.
turkey video you got props on.
you
Yeah,
did.
we will learn how to do this live in
Listen,
front of you.
trial by fire is my
Please,
preferred method.
please subscribe so I can leave the hotel and we can get Colum actual linguistics lessons. It's a
We
charity cause.
You
join.
do not need me speaking multiple
Listen,
languages. It
if
will
you
only get
like,
worse.
comment, and subscribe, you can help fund Column's trip to other
Yeah.
nations so he can learn the language well enough for these videos.
Until he disappears in some hidden library of knowledge, and then we have to do the research ourselves because some
Yeah,
ancient owl has trapped him.
yes. Anyway, enough references there. We need to. It's time we talk about the man, the myth, the historical figure, the man who starts it all for the next 518 years. A man named General Yi Song Ge, and I cannot say his last part.
Gee,
Yi
Yi,
Yi Yi Ge.
yi,
I get. I
yi,
can't say
yi,
that.
yi song
I
yi.
can't.
Yi
We will
Song
add the letters G and Y to sounds I cannot make.
Gi. So he was the historical human.
Yes, he
The
was.
very first.
First of his name.
1392.
Yeah. And of course, we are in Asia, so naturally, he gets to have 15 other names. The one that's important here is that when he takes the throne, he rules as King Tejo, which is that is his formal ruler name, as opposed to his normal human name.
Because you
No.
know, why would you not need more than one?
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
These people are like popes. They keep changing their name every time they get a new office.
oh yeah, they do that, don't
Very
they?
true.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what do you do? He's the first. What do you
that'd
do?
be something new.
Do you do fun stuff besides just founding a dynasty?
Yeah,
Yes.
hopefully he didn't just kill a bunch of people either.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
don't
sure he did
worry.
that though.
He did a couple of things. He established the capital of Hanyang. He founds that city. That is the modern day city of Seoul.
Ah, interesting.
Why'd they change the name?
Because
Probably
it gained soul.
Yeah, probably because it's been 700 years.
Hey,
Imagine if we changed Washington D.C. after like the name after like 700 years.
see, I still visit Londinium. I don't know about you guys.
Oh,
In
yes.
Britannia.
Just-
Wow.
Am I
Just
wrong?
gonna start singing Boulevard of Broken Dreams in Latin and slowly walk away. Just do
Yeah.
like a Muppet bit, 90-degree turn, and then
If you
just
guys haven't
off
seen that
screen.
video going around, there is an actual person who was able to write
People do
the
this.
lyrics
People.
of Boulevard Broken Dreams in Latin. But we're not talking about that. We're doing Korean stuff.
So, someone take over for me.
Okay, so established the city of Hanyang in the present day Seoul. And one of the cool things that he did was he established close relations with the Ming dynasty in China. However, it wasn't quite the equivalent exchange you would hope it would be. Where China viewed Korea as a client state, China's influence in this time period was massive. I mean, they were the regional power. They had influence, control, trade with pretty much every state in the region. Yeah.
Yeah, China is a major power. Yeah. Interestingly enough, relations with the Ming is going to really screw over Korea in the future.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, as the Ming do not effectively maintain control over what is known as I believe Manchuria.
Yeah, if you're talking
And-
the lower section, that is Manchuria.
Well, they do not maintain control over Manchuria, and Manchuria is positioned precariously close to Korea.
Yeah, it's basically where the confluence of China, Russia, and where North Korea currently are. It's a very, I mean, the region stretches down pretty much almost to Beijing currently, but it's that large upper portion of China.
It's basically
Northeast.
eastern China, and it's just and everybody has wanted a piece of it since the dawn of time.
Very
What?
valuable land, very prosperous on the North China. Wait, that's the Korean Sea now?
Who
Uh,
knows at this point?
I
I
think
can't
it's
that's.
even.
got a lot of names.
I don't have a map.
It's
Yeah,
almost
who do
like
I look
there's
like?
geopolitical conflict in this region, but
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, I don't have Dora the Explorer's map to explain it to me in a way that would keep us from being demonetized.
all right.
But
And then,
yeah,
well, one of
yeah,
the side effects of this, or one of the benefits in some
yeah.
ways, is General Yi ended up borrowing and took a lot of inspiration from the bureaucratic administration of based on the Chinese systems.
Yeah. Yeah, basically he does a top to bottom restructuring of how the Korean government works based on how the Chinese government works.
He
Because
did a
one of the
hostile takeover, corporate
what
style.
yeah, because one of the large reasons why a man named General is suddenly calling himself king is because the effective governance of the previous rulership uh was non-existent.
Imagine doing a hostile takeover of an entire country, though. Like, all right, we're going to do some restructuring. Some of you are going to have new jobs, some of you are going to have no jobs at all. We
I
tried our
mean,
best to fit you where you seem to
Listen,
fit.
the worst part of
we
this is this
almost
isn't a
did
foreign power
experience
doing this.
that.
This is your coworker.
Yeah, yeah, Justin, we did almost experience that. What are you talking
All
about?
right. And one of the other big things that gets adopted is what is known as Neo-Confucianism. That becomes the state ideology.
Those damn
Um,
neo Confucianists.
yeah.
What
Uh,
happened to the
and
old
it
Confucianists?
We
and
don't talk
it
about
is
them.
and it is held together by three key tenets. Uh, Number one, the existing social order is maintained by a divine mandate. Number two, those who hold power are sustained in power through acts of benevolence.
Okay, I can get on board with
Yeah.
that.
So they're
Number three,
required, or they're
yeah,
required to be benevolent.
yeah, yeah. Number three, those who do not hold power are sustained through their acts of obedience.
Okay, not as
It
great.
it is a rigid social order. It is a social order that values respect and ceremony over actually doing things. And it is the sort of social order that preaches blind obedience at every level. Now, this can be great for establishing a stable society following something like, I don't know, a coup. However, it can be quite terrible at times for dealing with any sort of crisis.
You mean the rigid system doesn't handle change in stringent conditions very well?
Yeah. No, it does not. Fortunately, General Yi or as I should say, King Tejo, did have an idea for how to combat this, and that is land reform.
Land reform?
He,
Oh, we
yeah,
always love a good land
Okay,
reform.
yeah,
okay.
yeah. He takes all the existing lands and redistributes them. Now, prior to King Tejo, most land is held by a handful of high-ranking bureaucrats. Basically, the king's advisors, they own all wealth, they own all land, and they are effectively absentee rulers of the entire country. This is not effective for
Fair.
anyone.
Yeah, but
Uh,
redistributing the land.
yeah, yeah. So what
That's
he
some
did
nice
is,
land you got there. It'd be a shame if
It got
someone redistribute.
redistributed
That's
it.
the new meme. That's I gotta find a statue of like his
yeah.
face and make that meme now.
Well, yeah, nice land you got there. Mongol noises intensify.
Oh, no! You just need to build the wall.
It didn't work. What are you talking about? They never. They only work for so long.
Yeah. The so what he does is he makes it so that basically most levels of government, most government positions come with a land title. If you work for the government, you are now landed aristocracy. You are now responsible for overseeing and maintaining a part of Korea, as well as whatever actual bureaucratic duty you are supposed to perform. Um, this creates a new scholar bureaucrat aristocracy called the Yangban. And the hopeful benefit of this was that since you have to go through a number of tests and prove scholastic knowledge in order to become a bureaucrat, well, that should mean that all the smart people are also all the people engaged in land management. That is the hope. That is the hope for this system.
The hope.
And for a while, it works. But yeah, Yangban translates to the two orders, and it refers to the parallel branches of civil and military administration. Effectively, you had two separate chains of command running through Korea, both of which answer directly to the king. This will not at any point in history lead to overlapping areas of authority and conflicting orders. No, it won't do that at all.
I feel like you're being facetious.
Well, what do you do when the governor of the province and the commander of the fort in that province both technically hold the same rank? Who bows to who?
I feel like it should be settled by rock, paper, scissors.
To be fair, it is very similar in the U.S. government as well. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but every single federal government position has a rank equivalent.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
you can look it up that your GS level is equivalent to a specific rank.
Yeah. Your GS. Yeah, and I think I want to say like GS7 is like a lieutenant.
I don't think it's that
that's
high.
Right.
11 is a captain.
That's right. Yeah.
Something like that. I just say
I did know that. I didn't know that's what. I knew those terms.
That's what that is.
I didn't know what they meant.
And just the issue comes from how do you resolve disputes from say a GS11 trying to give orders to a captain, or a captain trying to give orders to a GS11.
I'd just be more concerned as to why they're interacting, because the civilian branch interacting with military.
Because the civilian branch calls on the military to assist in crises, and not all those crises are enemies on the border. Sometimes there's famine and flood, and sometimes people are freaking petty.
Oh no, it's a financial crisis, so they call in the National Guard for the banks.
Yes.
There's just a bunch of soldiers crunching numbers.
That is an eerily accurate translation of what people get asked to do at various points in history.
Oh my god.
We won't be going into detail on any of that here. But dear God, is it hilarious when it happens. And by hilarious, I mean I'm crying, because it's usually accompanied by the massacre of thousands.
Okay, let's move on to a brighter note.
Yeah. Look, if anyone wants to see how this breaks down, just look up a man called Admiral Yi. Not General.
No.
Yeah, because his whole fame is built on the back of nobody doing their job but him.
Yeah, because they literally would just fire him, and then when they start losing, they ask him, "Hey, can you come back?"
They hire him back. Yeah, they hire him back. He gets so much flack because no one in any other part of the administration wants to actually do their job with him.
Because he's just too good.
Yeah.
And they hate him.
Yeah, something like that. So scholarship becomes a cornerstone of the Choson dynasty, largely because, again, it's the scholar bureaucrat is the landed aristocracy. So everyone in power has to be to some degree intelligent.
I don't know about that.
Justin, I've seen some of the tests they had for these things. You would be tested without food, water, or sleep for a period of 3 days.
Jesus Christ!
Because that is how long it would take someone to complete the test if you were writing for the written exam that entire time. That is how many questions, that is how many essays, that is how many things you have to know.
Man, I wish we had some sort of test before you became a U.S. politician.
I'm just amazed, because
anytime anytime you wanted a
Yeah.
promotion, you had to do it all again.
Jesus, so what you're telling me is it was a 3 day long test if you just did nothing but test.
If you just did nothing but test.
So would they like sleep? Would they eat? Would they take breaks?
You
I sure hope so.
you lived in the test room with everybody else, and you were judged if you were the first person to blink, yawn, stretch, look away, go to the bathroom. You were freaking judged. It was a
God,
demand.
I couldn't imagine having to do like 15 ACT tests or SAT tests before getting a job, but that would
Yeah.
definitely change the field.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's like yeah, you understand. No. You have to be intelligent, or you have to have a frick ton of bribes. Because you have
again,
to bribe all your classmates and your instructor
if
and whoever
only
you have actually writing down the test for you.
if only we had like tests for our politicians before they could like
Listen, you can become a
be
politician without a degree. That says a
George Santos proved it. You just gotta lie.
Anyway,
yeah, basically.
God, I mean, I
Uh,
feel like no wonder the system lasted like 500 years. They fucking had it like set. There's like we want the best, and you're gonna be the best, or else
I
you
want
will
you to
not be in
be the
charge.
very best.
yeah. So some of the benefits that we get from having
A
the
bunch of
chat
nerds.
nerd culture going on here.
The
Uh
Chad nerd cult. Oh man.
yeah. Number one, the Korean phonetic alphabet is invented in 1443. This alphabet is known as Hangul, and it was developed during the reign of a man known as King Sejong. This is the like first step that Korea takes towards being its own independent state and not just a Chinese satellite. And I
Wow.
just want to point out, in less than 50 years, the dynasty goes from nothing to we have our own language. Because
That's impressive.
the dynasty is founded in 1392.
Speed
So
run.
that's what, 51 years?
I mean,
Hey, if
I
it
would
worked.
imagine they had their own language before, but having an alphabet's pretty nifty.
Yeah, it's one of those things that says
I
we
mean,
are our own people. We are not, we are not
I
an adjacent to another person.
I know it's I know like there's definitely like some tension when it comes to like Korea's position, especially since it's basically spent a good portion, at least a good portion of modern history. I'm not so sure how far back um they were like at like the confluence of spheres of influence. But I know definitely when Japan unified for a long time, it was really hard for them to maintain independence or maintain like assert themselves because it was either a Chinese dynasty was it's either from them, dominance by force or through diplomacy, or in Japan's case, you're mine or you die.
Aaron, they're not
That
that far apart. So
man, uh, yeah, no, it is. Yeah, basically this whole dynasty is their entire history is dealing with either China thinking you're a tributary vassal, or Japan thinking you're a rogue province.
you're a
That is the entire
beautiful.
history of this dynasty, just going back the frick off,
Yeah,
both
they're
of you.
like, stop at
So like
Japan, back off China. Stop at
Yeah,
Japan, back off
yeah,
so,
China.
yeah,
so like
yeah.
seeing this, it like it makes it really
Yeah.
it makes me happy because they're like, this is us. You will no longer maintain control.
Yeah, and within 100 years of founding the dynasty, under the reign of a man known as King Songjong, they have a full bureaucratic system of government established. Like the final touches of King Taejo's land reforms, of his government system, of how everything is supposed to work. That is all finally fully implemented and running. Which is, they go from nothing to everything. Uh, within less than 100 years, because
And that's like
King
within a
Shang,
generation.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're really
'cause-
efficient with this.
yeah, yeah, because King Chongzhong takes the throne in 1470, and he leaves it and the mortal coil in 1494. Uh, this
So
is
he, in
this
theory, would have heard of Columbus sailing to America.
not
Uh,
really. News does not travel like that.
if only it did. That'd be kind of cool, though.
I
Yeah,
mean, that
and
gives 2 years for full circumnavigation.
yeah, um, I don't think anyone east of the Ottomans cared. But that's where we're gonna get our first major time skip here, and our first major freaking problem for Korea. We're gonna go to the year 1592 when a wonderful thing happens for everyone in the entirety of the Western Pacific.
Well, that's 100 years after Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Yep. Uh, namely, that is the year Japan invades Korea.
Ah, there it is. There's the hammer dropping.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For 6 years, Japan occupies most of Korea and proceeds to just devastate the landscape. And the only reason that the Choson dynasty and the Korean people themselves survive and continue to exist to this day is because China really did not like sharing borders with another potential superpower, and so proceeded to send their entire freaking army down the peninsula just to get rid of the Japanese.
You got a friend in me.
Yeah.
At least for that one moment.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe. This is the famous invasion by the Japanese warlord Hideyoshi. I believe that this is his invasion of Korea, though
Oh,
I don't recall exactly. But yes, I believe this is his one. Um, it goes horribly for the Koreans. It goes horribly for the Japanese. China is the only one who even remotely comes out as a winner in this.
Korea won, but at what cost?
Yeah. And it turns out that this is the first of three terrible invasions that the Koreans will suffer in the span of about 50 years.
Oh no.
So they had 50 years of intense prosperity and then 50 years of intense devastation.
Well, the
Well, they
regional
had,
power started seeing success in like an actual system, and they're like, I want.
yeah, yeah. Basically, they go about a century from, it takes them about a century to get fully up and running. And then they have about a century of everything is working for the most part. And then endless war. About 50 years of endless war because northwestern Korea gets invaded by the Manchu tribes of Manchuria in 1627.
Not Manchuria again.
Yeah, the Manchurians are here. Uh,
Hmm.
this is because the Manchu were preparing an invasion against Ming China. The Ming Chinese had pissed them off. And the Manchu really did not want Korea offering a way for the Ming Chinese to outflank them. So they proceeded. So their plan was to basically annihilate the northern half of the peninsula, and then sweep into the China proper. Um,
I mean, it makes sense for Manchu.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
It just
It
sounds
is
like they
a
were trying to be over strategic and might have overextended themselves a little bit.
so the yeah so the issue comes for the Manchu that they overcommit to this invasion, and they are left weak on their actual border with the Ming Chinese, and their forces there start losing, forcing a Manchurian withdrawal from Korea. However, this is not before they devastate the countryside, and faith in the central government is severely shaken. Uh, this is a period of decline for the Choson. They don't get taken out of the big chair, but they do start hurting.
I mean, after getting beaten up like that, you definitely do take a more reserved approach to foreign diplomatic relations.
Yeah.
understandably.
Um, it does them no good, as Korea is invaded a second time by the Manchu in 1637.
Literally
But
10
wait,
years
there's
later.
more.
Yep. This time the warfare has a much more interesting footing, as it's not just the Manchu this time, but it is the Manchu, the Mongols, and the Chinese all invading Korea
Together?
together. Yep.
10
And
years ago, the Manchu wanted to invade the
yep,
Chinese.
yep. And that is because we are seeing here the rise of the Qing dynasty. Uh, the
Oh,
Qing dynasty has gained enough
wow.
prestige and enough power in the in interwar 10 years to declare it themselves emperors of China. Korea refuses and acknowledges the Ming, as the Ming, after all, did save them from both Japan and the Manchu previously. So the Qing perform what is considered punitive action.
Wow.
Yikes.
And the
Uh,
Qing dynasty is one of the most powerful Chinese dynasties.
yeah, and their founder, Wang Taji of Manchuria, is one of their best rulers. He is one of their most capable individuals. So
Oh,
it's a losing ground for Korea on every front.
and the Mongolians.
Yeah, King Injo is forced to formally surrender Korea to the Qing Chinese and acknowledge Korea exists solely as a tributary state of China.
Wow, brought them to their
He
knees.
he gets annihilated in
Oh,
battle.
oof.
The Korean forces fail miserably. And what do you expect? You've got Manchuria, you've got China proper, you've got the Mongolians coming down.
And you don't even have Japan to yourself
Oh,
to protect you because
oh,
they're also after you.
no. Yeah. Unlike China, which is more than happy to maintain an semi-independent Korea, the Japanese want one thing, and that's total domination. The Japanese exist in a state of direct rule or nothing. Yeah. Um, and it takes the Choson and the Koreans over a century to recover from the invasions. It takes them 100 years just to get their infrastructure, their bureaucracy, their society into a functional and what could be considered semi-prosperous state. Um, it is devastating, and it is at the tail end of this recovery that some new ideas start coming into view as we enter into Choson's period of reform.
Oh no, the Reformation hit Choson Korea. At
Yeah,
least they maintain power through that lull in their
yeah,
influence, because that's usually when you see the decline and crumbling of empires. So to see them get down and then back up again is honestly really impressive.
yeah, uh, yeah. So during the reign of two particular kings, one of whom actually rules for 52 years.
That's a
Uh,
long
yeah,
reign.
Yeah, we have King Yongzhou, 1724 to 1776,
Hey, that's a good year. Good year.
America. Yeah, and then King Chongzhou, 1776 to 1800. Uh, they're the ones who see the Korean government recover, and they are the ones who implement a couple of key changes, and they oversee a key shift in philosophy away from Neo-Confucianism towards something that will hopefully be more effective against the crisis of an army is invading us. um, so their first key reform is irrigation. They they begin mandating irrigation agriculture as the default form of agriculture throughout Korea. They recognize from previous mistakes and from the past century plus of suffering that food shortages lead to every other problem you could possibly have.
I
True.
wish that this still wasn't the truth in certain aspects of Korea.
Yeah. It's like that is, so that is the first lesson that they learn. Is you've got to make enough food to stockpile it so that your army doesn't starve the first year of the war. The second key change is the spread of the monetary economy under a stable currency. Uh, Basically, new money, new coins,
Yay, new coins.
new system of economics. Much
New
more,
economics.
yeah. They heavily modernize. There's new money. It's basically a fresh start for the Korean economy because let's be honest, they were never getting out of that hole from the last 150 years without doing this.
True.
Yeah.
It is it is bad. So like this allows them to just pretend it never happened and introduce prosperity. And the third key thing is uh, what is known as Silhak, which is a school of thought developed to tackle the administrative problems of Neo Confucianism. Namely, I do whatever my direct superior says without question and without thinking for myself ever.
Oh, the true tenet of a good bureaucracy.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so Silhawk translates to the practical learning, and it disavows Neo Confucianism entirely. It claims that Neo Confucianism is obsessed with ritual, is obsessed with blind obedience, that it doesn't teach you how to do anything. You cannot be an effective leader in the field. You cannot make effective decisions if all you do is say, sir, yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, stop it. Think for yourself. Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. They, in addition to this, it advocates for social reform, particularly land reform. It reintroduces a new wave of land redistribution because the bureaucrats have, at this point, in some places, become hereditary, and that is not the intention of the system.
Yep, tear it down and start back over.
Yeah, rebuild it up. Additionally, it advocates for the abolishment of the rigid class boundaries that dominated Korean society under Neo Confucianism, as well as the abolition of slavery.
They
Somebody
tore
say
down
the
the...
abol. Somebody say the abolishment of class boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
Redistribution of
Suddenly,
lands?
suddenly a sickle and a hammer start slowly rising up. Yeah, no, this is not communism.
I
This is
know.
not communism.
I know,
It's
but
funny. I'm
still.
telling the viewers. I'm telling the viewers.
Oh, fair.
Oh,
I have to save the viewers from themselves.
you just upset like 90% of our older audience by just dropping the C word.
Da, da, da.
At
Yeah. Um,
The abolishment
least
of
they
class
got rid of slavery.
boundaries.
That's honestly really great. And it, from the dates and timeline of this, it looks like it was fairly early on comparatively to a lot of other nations.
yeah. This would sort of this push for the abolition of slavery would predate
Even
Britain
England,
ending the triangle trade.
And for those of you playing at home, this is just like 250 years ago, which in the grand scheme of things is not that long ago. And the fact that this is one of the first places to abolish slavery tells you just how recent it's been.
Yeah. Uh, yes, yeah, because the concept of capture a person and use them as free labor goes back to basically forever, unfortunately.
It's one of
Yeah.
the earliest things humans did.
Yeah, it's how the Romans got their first wives.
You're not wrong.
Oh yeah,
He really
humanity's
isn't.
done some terrible things, and I can never unknow any of them.
Yeah. Which is why all of you must now suffer
Yeah,
too.
that's why we burden all of you with it.
If we must suffer, so must you.
Yeah.
This isn't happy fun times.
We're all in this together.
That's not what we want.
We have and to wrap up the tenets of Silhak. In addition to all these applications, they also push for technological innovation and trade. They want the new technologies. They want new trade opportunities. They see that the Western powers have a lot to offer in terms of industrial goods. they also see that the Western powers can be incredibly dangerous when selling them. So there's this advocacy to modernize Korea and buy the things we need before the West starts noticing us.
Smart
That's fair.
idea.
Before someone realizes we are actually a viable market.
Did someone
Ron.
say profit?
Yeah. Yeah. Random American noises intensified.
No, we didn't say oil. We didn't say oil.
Yeah. And
The American
the
ship
leader.
just sails past.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
The
no oil. They're just all sad.
Oh, it's like a Thomas the Tank Engine skit.
Yes, exactly.
The oil tanker's just depressed now.
Okay, so
Yes, Silhawk is led by two key Korean philosophers, Yi Ik and Pak Chawan. No relation to Obi-Wan.
are you sure
I
about
had to
that?
do it. I had to do it. I will go to hell. Yes.
Pak Chi-wan, Obi-Wan. I have the high ground now, Pak Chi-wan. Oh, if you say it quick, it sounds like Padawan. Pechi-wan.
Oh no.
I solved it.
We
I solved it.
apologize.
Wrap it
We
up.
apologize. We apologize to Korea for the mockery of the names of what is arguably one of their greater philosophers.
God damn it, Justin.
I have the high ground now.
When you take that first step out of rock bottom and think you've reached the summit of Mount Everest.
And then you look up and see the other 28,000 feet above you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. However, Korea does maintain its isolationist policies until the 1880s. Korea is mostly content to hide behind China and just go, no, there's nobody here. Please don't invade us.
Do not look behind the giant China.
Yeah. 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 Do not look behind the massive Chinese markets. Um, However, that all changes, or that begins to change in 1876 with the Treaty of Ganghwa, which was signed at the behest of Japan. Now, if we learned anything about Japan and Korea, it is that Japan always has Korea's best interests at heart. Nope. In fact, the entire premise for the treaty was a false flag fabricated incident by the Japanese Navy.
In the 1880s, gee, I wonder what
Yep.
other
Yep.
major incidents could have also taken place due to false flag events around this time period.
Yeah.
American
So-
Spain.
All right. So here is the plan. Cue the Despicable Me meme.
Oh, no.
Oh no, the minions start chirping.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. We're going to arrange. Japan intends to arrange an international incident to force favorable terms on Korea. So step one is they send a ship to Ganghwa Island in Korea, knowing full well that Ganghwa had been the site of hostile activity between the Koreans and both the French and the Americans in recent years. They then sail the ship without raising flags around the fortress at Ganghwa until the fortress is forced to fire on the unidentified vessel not responding to communications. At which point, the Japanese declare that Korea has launched an unprovoked attack against the Japanese Navy. And in response to this surprise assault, demand that Korea give Japan reparations or suffer total war. Japan agrees to this because, Korea agrees to this because they are not in a position to fight Japan. And Japan goes out of their way to do this because they want to make sure they become a major stakeholder in the Korean market before the Western powers do.
So basically, by hiding from the Western powers, they open themselves up to attack from the Eastern powers trying to take advantage of them in similar ways that the Western powers would.
Yeah, basically, Japan saw what happened when the Americans showed up at Japan and realized, hang on, you can bully smaller people,
Oh no!
and immediately turned to Korea. Um, yeah,
It's also important to note that at this time period in the 1870s and 1880s, we start seeing the massive militarization of Japan and them start taking massive leaps into the industrialization of their military. So you go from this basically docile nation for a while. After America opens it up, it becomes this like power hungry, influence hungry. They invade China, they invade Korea, they invade every island around them, and this eventually culminates in World War II. But this is like the early origins of it.
yeah. The Americans really do spook the Japanese. The Japanese do not like it when someone fights on their island, and that is precisely what the Americans did. So they immediately go into full warrior mode and just say, all right, we are going to have the largest, most modern military in the Pacific, so help me God.
And if it wasn't clear, we're referencing in the 1870s, not when Americans fought on the islands in the 1940s.
Yeah, no. This is not the taking of Iwo Jima. This is an American ship sailing into a Japanese port and firebombing it until the Japanese government agrees to trade with America.
And when we mean like firebomb, we mean it. Like they said, "Hey, trade with us," and when the Japanese said no, they responded with your choice, like wrong answer, and just like destroyed it.
We wonder why they attacked Pearl Harbor.
The Americans were launching explosives into a city made of paper and wood.
Yeah, that's what they did.
I don't know why it burnt down. Well, we definitely used that to our advantage with Tokyo later on, but.
But anyway, back to Korea. This treaty of Ganghwa. Before we start going into America's war crimes, let's look at these ones.
Fair.
It does a couple of things. Number one, it establishes Korea as a sovereign nation.
That's a good.
No, it's not good for Korea.
No, as a sovereign nation.
Yeah, because what this means is Korea can no longer pretend it doesn't exist in the eyes of the West and hide behind China's foreign policy. So while it is great that it acknowledges Korea as an independent nation capable of making independent symbols, it is effectively ringing a dinner bell for the British, the French, the Americans, and everyone else who's trying to carve up the Pacific. It calls in everybody. Number two, it opens formal relations between Korea, Japan, and China, because again, Korea has been hiding behind Chinese diplomatic policy for its foreign relations. Something to do with the Qing forcing King Injo to submit or die. Yeah, that policy's still in place. And finally, it becomes the first unequal treaty signed by Korea because it grants Japanese citizens extraterritorial rights. It forces Korean ports to be open to Japanese ships at all times, and it prevents Korea from implying that Chinese foreign policy is their foreign policy. Therefore, if you go against us or if you go against China, it's one and done. Now they can only defend themselves with what Korea has to defend itself with, which is not a lot.
Oh no.
But yeah, and this is the beginning of the downfall of Korea here.
Because China's not going to take lightly to this, because this is definitely an infringe on their previously just unagreed upon situationship.
This is an insult to China. However, China can't really do anything about it because they're too busy dealing with their own unequal treaties with the West. So what they do instead is they say, all right, if Japan's going to get a hold of part of Korea, then we're going to make sure that they have to fight with everyone else to maintain it. And they proceed to force Korea to sign unequal treaties with every single Western power in the region.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
The
The
enemy of my
China,
enemy is my friend. Welcome
yeah,
here.
yeah. The Chinese are particularly interested in making sure the Koreans have an unfavorable treaty with the United States, just because the Chinese know that the Japanese look at Hawaii and the Philippines and go, hmm, I want that. And the US is there.
That's not gonna come back in history whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
gonna go to
Yeah.
either island.
Yeah. So it's just, like China knows the Americans and the Japanese are, either they're gonna have to work things out and become best friends, or they will kill each other. Let's encourage them to kill each other by giving them both shares in the same company. Let's
God
make
damn.
um yeah, it's yeah. And China basically forces all these treaties onto Korea in the hopes that, this will limit Japan's ability to grow as a regional power. Because China's on the verge of collapse at this point, and they really do not want a future where Japan is the dominant Asian state. But fun fact, no.
Oh, jeez.
Um, because all of this merely slows down Japan. It does not stop them. You cannot stop them at this point.
Because the train keeps on rolling.
It's bad. Japan actually becomes the dominant influence in Korea, not China, during this period. And this is because Japan wins wars against both the Chinese and the Russians, which were the only two powers in the
Whew.
region who were actually able to like physically contest Japan running Korea.
And that's a pretty strong contender on both ends. Both of them are in very high points of their empires. Like China at this
Oh,
time, God, I mean they've definitely taken a step back after all the Western treaties, so that part's fair. But like Russia, the Tsar, like they're pretty good at this point.
yeah, no, yeah, early 1900s czar is at the height of their power. That said, military defeats do lead to the overthrow there shortly after
Yeah,
this.
so kind of a
Like
catalyst.
you can, yeah, it's like you're at the height of your power. However, you can't win a war to save your life. It's one of those things. So yeah, it is the Sino-Japanese War from 1894 to 1895, and the Russo-Japanese War from 1904 to 1905.
Damn, they're
That
efficient.
basically that decade seals the deal as Japan runs this part of the world. That Japan is the preeminent power in the Western Pacific.
And this is still 40 years but before they like really.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
before they really get going. Yeah. Yeah, because this is the moment Japan switches over from being the underdog to being the rising power.
The rising sun.
Well, I'm not going to phrase it like that. I'm going to phrase it like we do for every nation, and not and not make a country specific joke, Justin. Justin is very bad today.
Yeah, there's been a lot of intricate references. I apologize.
um, yeah. Korea, for its part, is strongly opposed to the Japanese influence now invading its peninsula. However, the Choson can really do nothing about it.
You're
The
surrounded on all
Japanese,
sides.
yeah. Well, the Japanese respond to anti-Japanese sentiment in Korea by assassinating the Queen of Korea. They proceed to eliminate Queen Min, as Queen Min is seen as pro-Korea. She is seen as a Korean nationalist, and she is considered a rallying point for anti-foreign influence in Korea, namely anti-Japanese influence.
God, Japan really min-maxed like foreign relations at this time for.
Yeah, yeah, they went all in. In addition, because they recognize that murdering someone's wife is really not the best way to maintain relations with a nation, in 1907 they forced King Kojong, who is the husband of Min, to renounce the throne in 1907. He's able to hold on to power for a few years following his wife's assassination, but it's on the down and out. The Japanese realize he's not their man.
Yeah, wow.
Uh, so naturally, they force him to abdicate for his son because, if killing your wife makes you angry, surely killing your mother won't. uh, and as such, Sun Jong ascends to the throne in 1907. Kojong abdicates under the Japanese pressure because he feels that the priority for him right now is not him ruling as a Choson king, but that the Choson dynasty endure. And if that means playing puppet with Japan, that means playing puppet with Japan. Uh, it doesn't help him. It buys him a few years.
It really, honestly, I'm very much in awe because this really puts things into perspective because 1910 feels like a long time ago, but it was barely 100 years ago. Like, we are not that far away. Like, there's maybe 2 generations since that could still be around and maintain this dynasty.
Yeah,
Or be like 2 generations or 3 generations removed from that period, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say we're on our like sixth generation now. But yeah, Japan decides that enough is enough. We're ready to move in, and so in 1910 they announced that Korea is dissolved and the Choson dynasty no longer exists. To do this, they forced Korea to sign a contract of annexation by Japan, saying, "We are a province of Japan. We have been legally annexed by Japan. We are all happy to be here. Please do not hurt us." And with that, Sunjong becomes the last monarch of the Choson dynasty.
Damn.
That is the end of the longest continuously reigning imperial family in Korea.
That's such a tragic and like uneventful end, honestly.
Would you prefer they went out the way of the czars, where everyone just dies horribly?
Okay, not like that either. I was kind of
Like,
hoping, or like maybe a blaze of glory, a last swing, a last fight. But I understand you're beaten down. Japan's a really powerful enemy at this time. Like you don't test it. You don't do that. You save face. You save your people. I mean, as
and
shitty as that was, he potentially saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
Yeah, and Korea's game, especially historical Korea, and Choson in particular, has always been about outfoxing larger opponents. It's always been the long strategic game of buddying up to someone who can hurt you, so that they don't hurt you and scare off everybody else who might try.
Yeah.
And you know, just like King Injo when he went against the Qing in favor of the Ming all the way back in 1637. This is just losing. Korea didn't have a winning card. They didn't have a winning move, and this time the victor decided that they wanted to go for the death blow.
It's a shame when you survive the Qing dynasty, you survive the Mings, you survive the Mongols, you survive the Mughals, like to just or the Manchus, to be able to like just continue on through that and then fall to the knees of the Japanese imperialism. It's heartbreaking.
To lose to Meiji Restoration Japan after surviving all these other enemies. And not that Meiji Restoration Japan is anything to scoff at as far as losing to goes, but it's just you beat so many other players and then you lost.
Yeah, but it took a formidable enemy to bring him down.
Yep. And on the plus side though, with all this tragedy is in 2009, almost exactly 100 years after Choson ended, the royal tombs of King Taejo, the first ever king of the Choson dynasty, and King Kojon were named as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So they do get their full acknowledgement in the annals of history.
That's good.
Yeah, a bit of a full circle moment there. That's kind of pretty. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one of the beauties of it is it's the first king of Choson and the second to last king of Choson.
They couldn't just do the last one as well, or
I do not believe that Sunjong is buried in the same place. Uh, Probably due to him being very young when he is ousted by the Japanese.
oh, and the Japanese probably also didn't let him be interred in the same place, especially because of that connection. It's a
Yeah,
way for suppressor states to help prevent a future uprising.
yeah. It's a way to make sure there's a disconnect between the current descendants and the previously independent nation.
Unfortunate.
So that is probably the why it's uh, Taizhou and Kojong and not Taizhou and Sunjong.
But yeah, that's I think that's a great point here for us to wrap up Choson Korea. Any final thoughts?
I've said so much. This is a massive topic, and there are just hundreds of people that we don't even mention who are incredible statesmen and incredibly influential both in the Korean Peninsula and also on the histories of Japan and China. So there is definitely a lot more here that we didn't cover just because we've been at this for over an hour and all we did was a general timeline of
Yeah.
broad strokes of this one dynasty.
This is like a 100,000 foot overview of this time period. There are so many intricacies, so many tiny things we could go into, but it's something that we thought was a good idea and that we wanted to talk about because I don't feel like Eastern parts of the world are very much talked about, especially from our very Western American perspectives.
Yep.
We acknowledge our lack of knowledge and we try to build upon it. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed watching today's video, please be sure to drop a like down below, subscribe, follow us, and let us know if there's a topic you would like to see, and we will see you in the next podcast episode about opium diplomacy.
Yep. Number 51.
Ooh,
The British.
China. Oh no.